Georgia football has seen a level of recruiting dominance over the past few years, and every single year they're poised to take the next step, maybe beat Alabama or win the national championship. In the last 3 seasons though, none of that has happened, and could it be due to a mistake that will haunt the program forever? Well, in case you didn't know, the Bulldogs originally had Jake Fromm, Jacob Eason, and Justin Fields all on campus and in the program, but the truth is, they picked the worst quarterback to be their main guy. Yes, Fromm did lead them to the national championship as a freshman, but what would have happened if they had either chosen Fields or Eason to be the guy instead? We will have some fun with today's video and examine another what if. So if you like this idea, please be sure to give the video a like, subscribe if you love college football, suggest what topic I should do next, and stay until the end. Now let's get started and talk about the mistake that'll haunt Georgia football. I do want to make a disclaimer that I do not have anything against Jake Fromm, and I think he is a great player, but I do think there were better options on the team. Originally, I never thought about this concept very much, but after I watched how Kirby handled the 2020 quarterback room, I began to think, not only could JT Daniels have played in a decent amount of those games he missed this year, but they also had 2 talented quarterbacks on the bench named D'Wan Mathis and Carson Beck. Mathis looked terrible against Arkansas, but besides the fact that Stetson Bennett was a good story, I never really understood why he played. He was older, undersized, and had already reached his ceiling, and I just think the fan base and team would have benefited more by playing one of their younger and more talented players, and at the very end of the day, 2020 was kind of a wash season, and at least give the guys some time to develop and become better for next year. With Daniels coming back and Brock Vandagriff coming in next year, it doesn't seem like Carson Beck will ever really get a shot to play for Georgia barring an injury, and yes, he was young and inexperienced, but I do wonder how him or D'Wan would have done with more opportunity and more faith from Kirby. This reminds me a lot of the Tennessee situation, as obviously Jarrett Guarantano had hit his ceiling, and Tennessee was in a wash year as well, so I don't know why they didn't play more of Harrison Bailey and at least let him learn and develop. I know I got off topic a bit, but I have a point. Jeremy Pruitt and Kirby Smart are pretty similar, as the point of this video is to point out that picking a favorite quarterback as a coach can sometimes be a bad thing, and I think Kirby's favoritism towards Jake Fromm could be a mistake that haunts Georgia football forever, and maybe what has held him back so far. Before Fromm had even arrived, Kirby was in his first year with the program, and his quarterback was a blue-chip freshman by the name of Jacob Eason. Eason was a 5-star recruit, and a young star who I believed had endless potential with the program. He had his freshman struggles, of course, but in 2 of the biggest moments of his freshman season, he delivered. On 4th down on the road against Missouri, he threw a perfect pass to Isaiah McKenzie, and Georgia would win the game by 1. A few weeks later against Tennessee, he threw the best pass I've ever seen in my life to Riley Ridley with just a few seconds remaining, and that was on a huge stage, in a huge game, in a huge moment. Sadly, Tennessee converted that Hail Mary pass, and that completely overshadowed Eason's play, because if that miracle play doesn't happen, then Georgia wins that game. Eason's throw is all over SportsCenter, and his prestige changes a lot. He also led them to a win over number 9 Auburn, and played some of his best football in the games that actually mattered the most. As a freshman, Eason threw for 2,430 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 8 picks, but the potential he had was clearly visible, but there were some lows like his loss to Vanderbilt, but he had a good game in that one, and that was more so on the rest of the team. Going into 2017, Kirby brought in Jake Fromm, another 5-star recruit who had flipped from Alabama, and Eason had beat him out. Sadly, against Appalachian State, Eason would go down with an injury in their first game, and Fromm would take over for the Dogs, and he led them to a win over Notre Dame, and he'd eventually lead them all the way to the college football playoff, where they came really close to winning the title. Cue Devontae Smith. Because of this, Jake Fromm was seen as a better quarterback, and I mean, how could you bench a quarterback who led you to the title game as a freshman? Well, in my opinion, this gave everyone a false impression that Jake Fromm was an elite quarterback, when in my honest opinion, he benefited from a tremendous defense and a running back room that included Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, and DeAndre Swift. Eason always had more potential, and in my opinion, would have won more big games and had gotten even better after another year in the system, but Kirby had already made his mind on who he wanted, and Eason would end up leaving for Washington, where he'd have to sit out a year. In their next class, Georgia brought in another blue-chip recruit by the name of Justin Fields. The highly touted in-state kid flipped from Penn State to Georgia and was seen as one of the best quarterback prospects to ever walk through the high school ranks. He came into Georgia and was never given a fair chance to win the job, as it seemed. Kirby wanted Fromm to be the guy, and giving Fields a chance would have hurt Jake's confidence, and that's not something Kirby wanted to do. Fields would play very sparingly his freshman year, and after not getting a lot of in-game reps, he left to become the starting quarterback at Ohio State under Ryan Day's new system. Ohio State's offense was fire that year, and he had one of the best stars in the game on defense in Chase Young, while Georgia struggled with Fromm under center. Fromm only fielded the offense to 30 or more points in 4 times in the 2019 regular season, and his decision-making was very questionable at times, and most importantly, he dropped a huge home game to South Carolina. Meanwhile, Fields began to dominate at Ohio State, became a legitimate Heisman contender, and threw for 33 touchdowns in 11 games into the year. Georgia was on the outside looking in for the playoff and would have to beat LSU in the SEC championship game, and there was no way that was going to happen with Fromm. As we all knew, Fromm lost to LSU, while Eason put up huge numbers at Washington, and Fields led the Buckeyes to the college football playoff, where he went toe-to-toe with Trevor Lawrence and the Clemson Tigers, and lost by way of a miscommunicated route by Chris Olave. Georgia ended up missing the playoff altogether, where they would beat Baylor in the Sugar Bowl, and that'd be the icing on the cake for Fromm's career. The kid, who was also apparently a step down from Fromm, would end up getting drafted in the 4th round to the Colts, while Fromm dropped like a stone on draft night and likely won't ever get a chance to play in the NFL. Fields could very well be the number 2 overall pick this spring in 2021, and one may have to ask, how on earth did Georgia pick Fromm over Fields and Eason? If Jacob Eason or Justin Fields plays for Georgia, I think they have a much better chance of being a legitimate title contender then, and I think one of the real questions that needs to be asked is, what if Jacob Eason never got hurt? I didn't watch every Georgia game back in the day, and I don't claim to be an expert on Dogs football, but Eason always just seemed to have unlimited potential, and it seemed like he had that it factor that a lot of quarterbacks just didn't possess. Thankfully, it looks like JT Daniels will be the guy for Georgia next year, and I think he has a chance to get them back to the national title game, and in my other video, I said he has the second best odds of winning the Heisman Trophy. They will also have 5-star high school phenom Brock Vandegrift on the roster very soon, and I hope they make the right choice and let him be the guy. Kirby has been seen as overrated by some, and some people think he needs to take the next step soon. But Daniels and Vandegrift have a big say on how well he will do, and I hope he picks the right quarterback. I think choosing Fromm was a mistake on his end, and it'll both haunt Kirby and Georgia fans forever with all those what ifs, and it's honestly anyone's guess what would have happened with Fields or Eason behind the center. They could have been better, they could have been worse, or it could have been the same. We will never know. But if you're a Georgia fan, please let me know what you think down in the comment section. And if I should do more videos like this, please be sure to show your support with a like, share it with your friends, and suggest another what if topic I should take a look at. I want to do more videos like this, so please let me know a topic you have. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other videos, including my what if Johnny Manziel video went to Oregon. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.